of drag racing. 1987. Kmart Cajun National. Speeds in excess of 275 miles an hour. Covering the quarter-mile distance in less than 6 seconds. Drag racing from the NHRA. All across the United States and into Canada, the National Hot Rod Association presents championship drag racing events. The last stop, 3rd of 14, was at Atlanta, Georgia. Here, one of the fastest-growing cities in the country hosted the NHRA Southern Nationals. A huge crowd jammed into Atlanta International Dragway just to watch as 25-year-old Darrell Gwynn steered his Top Fuel dragster into the winner's circle. Gwynn set a new elapsed time record at the Southern National and raced against the fastest car in the country, Joe Amato. It was close, with Gwynn taking the win by just a few feet. Victory smiled twice for the team of Gwynn and Kenny Bernstein as the reigning world champion dominated funny car action. The final round at the Southern National saw Bernstein race John Force, attempting to break his string of 9 runner-up finishes. But it was not to be in Atlanta, as Bernstein prevailed easily. The immensely popular Pro Stock category got a treat in the finals. Bob Glidden won the race, but it took a flawless performance from his Ford Thunderbird as Butch Leo's Pontiac matched Glidden wheel to wheel, nearly to the finish line. At the end of the quarter-mile racing distance, the margin for Glidden was just a few inches, enough to win the race and the Southern Nationals title. Now we move to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, home of the NHRA Cajun Nationals. The capital of the state of Louisiana stands 34 stories tall. From the top of this building, you can see all the way to State Capitol Dragway. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave McClelland, and welcome to State Capitol Dragway just outside of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This is the 12th annual running of the Cajun Nationals, and nearly $750,000 in cash and awards have been posted, attracting hundreds of racers from all over the United States for their annual trek to the Bayou Country. But for every positive, there's got to be at least one negative, and that's the heat. Do you agree with me, Steve Evans?
David, it is not only hot, it is very, very humid. And you can tell that by looking at the faces of the crewmen on Big Daddy Don Garlett's Top Fuel dragster. They look like they've been thrashing in a sauna for about a week. In reality, they have only just completed round number 1 of 4. And even over in the Pro Stock pits, where they don't work quite as hard as these guys, Bob Glidden, the world champion, he's low ET so far at 745. He is also trying to find a cool place to relax, because in round 2 coming up, he will face off with the always tough Warren Johnson in his Oldsmobile. Now, in funny car, the action there in round 2 may be even hotter than the weather. It is Kenny Bernstein matched up with Ed D. Ace McCullough. And McCullough recently has been running wheel to wheel with Bernstein. Also, Don the Snake Prudhomme, who won the Gator Nationals this year, still on the comeback trail, though. He is facing off with the quickest car of the event so far, a bit of a surprise, Johnny West at 5.65, and Roland Leong's Hawaiian car in round number 1. Now, as far as Top Fuel is concerned here, the 2 quickest cars get together in round 2. Darrell Gwynn, who stumbled in qualifying, stepped right up into the 530s in round 1. So did Joe Amato, but Amato has lane choice. And here at the always tricky State Capitol Dragway, that can be very important. Now, the final story I have to share with you, Big Daddy Don Garlett's, if there's one thing that might cool these guys off a bit, they have a bye run in round number 2. Due to some breakage and other circumstances in round 1, Big Daddy has a bye. That effectively will put them into the semifinals automatically. And the racers will tell you, don't ever give Don Garlett a freebie.
Steve, as we move into the second round of competition, that single run for Don Garlett may be all important. Here's Shirley Muldowney. 3 times the world champion Shirley Muldowney is racing against the Texan Eddie Hill. Hill dates back in drag racing to the late 1950s, but he laid out for over 15 years going drag boat racing. In fact, Eddie Hill is the fastest man ever in a drag boat at over 220 miles an hour. Shirley Muldowney, the premier woman driver in any form of motorsport. 3 times she has won the World Championship title in Top Fuel Eliminator. In fact, she has won more individual titles than all other women drivers combined. Now she is racing against Eddie Hill, and Hill has the whole shot, the advantage off the starting line, and he holds on for the win. A tremendous close race, but Eddie Eddie Hill at a 5.61 second used that advantage off the starting line to win that race. Shirley actually covered the quarter-mile distance quicker than did Eddie Hill, but you see the advantage he gained by being quicker at the start, and that's what we call a hole shot. In spite of Shirley losing traction in the middle of the course, she still ran a quicker elapsed time than Hill, but his hole shot advantage paid off. By a few feet at the finish line, he won the race. That victory gives Eddie Hill the right to run the winner of our next pair of cars, the hottest rivalry in Top Fuel Eliminator today. Darrell Gwynn in the quickest car in the country against Joe Amato, driving the national speed record holder. Amato has driven this car over 279 miles an hour and now meets Darrell Gwynn in a rematch of that Southern Nationals Championship where Amato lost to Gwynn. In the race before that, the Gator Nationals Championship in Gainesville, Florida, Amato defeated Darrell Gwynn in the finals. He's been in the final round every race this year. Gwynn, the Southern Nationals champion, holds the national record for elapsed time. He has covered the quarter-mile distance from a standing start at 5.20 seconds. And a red light start for Darrell Gwynn. He left the starting line too soon, trying for the hole shot advantage, but failed, and Amato wins with a 5.39 seconds, 269-mile-an-hour charge. He'll be racing against Eddie Hill in the semis, but as we look again, you can see Darrell Gwynn was very early. It's only a flash of amber, 0.4 of a second in the green light, but if you anticipate and leave too soon, you get the red light and disqualification.
Oftentimes, a driver is so focused on his side of the tree, he doesn't see his opponent red light. Did you, Joe Amato?
Yeah, I saw the red light, Steve. I just ran it through to try and get lane choice for the next round, and just to see where the motor was at and make sure everything was okay. You know, I knew it was going to be a real close race, and we both ran 5:30s before that, so it's a driver's race there. You know, it could have made the difference between winning and losing. You know, luckily the light came on. Darrell could have got lucky and got the light, and then I would have made me look real bad. But then, thank God, the red light came on, and the TRW dragsters in the next round.
And still in the 5:30s as you go to the semifinals at 5:39.
Well, thank you. That's Tim Richards and the boys are doing an outstanding job in this heat. You know, I just have to do my job and drive good.
Joe Amato, he's on his way.
Amato paying tribute to his crew chief, Tim Richards. The 1987 Cajun Nationals is being brought to you by Goodyear. Goodyear tires and Goodyear service for more good years in your car. And by Ford. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by Budweiser. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Kenny Bernstein's crew, under the direction of crew chief Dale Armstrong, readying the Buick for the second round of Funny Car Eliminator. We'll be right back to the Cajun Nationals with more Top Fuel action in just a moment. Rouge, Louisiana. You remember the bye run for Don Garlits that Steve told you about? He just made it 6.31 seconds. Possibly some problems for the defending champ. Here's our next pair of cars, the Whitmore and Reed card from California against Dick LaHaye. A true family operation. Dick drives the car. His daughter Kim, the crew chief, his son Jeff, now on the crew. For Glenn Mictris, he's the former crew chief on this car. Now he's the driver, replacing Larry Sutton. Dick LaHaye has had superlative performances all year long, but has yet to make it to the final round in World Championship competition. Glenn Mictris, earning his competition license just a few short weeks ago, has already tasted victory. He defeated the veteran Gary Ormsby in the first round of competition. There you see Dick LaHaye working the brake handle as he inches that car with some 2,500 horsepower into the staging beams to get ready to face Glenn Mictris. A good start. It's the advantage to LaHaye. He continues to pull away, and LaHaye, by less than a car length, wins the race. His elapsed time, 5.45 seconds. His speed, 262 miles an hour. As we take a look at the statue of former Louisiana Governor and Senator Huey P. Long, located just outside the state capitol building, here are the semifinal pairings. It will be Don Garlits against Dick LaHaye, with LaHaye having the lane choice, and the lane choice going to Joe Amato in the semifinal race against Eddie Hill. That lane choice by virtue of a lower elapsed time in this round of competition. Now it's time for the second round of funny cars. This is Henry Phillips, hailing from Edmond, Oklahoma, a new driver on the NHRA Championship circuit. He's racing a veteran, Raymond Beadle, three-time world champion. As Beadle sits inside the confines of the roll cage, the fiberglass body coming down, covering up that 2,500 horsepower nitro-burning engine, Beadle pulls ahead into the puddle of water, wets the tires, and burns them. The burnout, heating up the rubber on the tires, getting them as clean as possible, providing the most traction available. Beadle is a former champion here at the Cajun Nationals, winning the race in 1982. For Henry Phillips, a recent graduate of the drag racing school conducted by Frank Hawley down at Gainesville Raceway, this the best performance of his short career. Phillips obviously a good student of the former two-time world champion Frank Hawley. Beadle smokes the tires. He has his hands full for a moment. It was a good start for Henry Phillips, but he faded fast as Raymond Beadle won it 6.10 at 250 miles an hour. Not a very good time for Beadle. Lucky for him that Henry Phillips had problems off the starting line. This is John Force. As you saw earlier, Force was the runner-up at the Southern Nationals. That marked his 10th bridesmaid appearance. He has yet to win one. He's continuing his quest for an NHRA National Event title. For Jim Head, he's won his share, including the U.S. Nationals, and this race in 1985. One of John Force's 10 runner-up spots came in 1979 at this very race on this racetrack when he lost to Kenny Bernstein, and that marked the start of Bernstein's illustrious career. Bernstein, of course, the two-time and reigning world champion. Head backing up to the starting line, but something apparently going wrong on John Force's car. The crew running out. You saw a little wisp of smoke coming out from underneath the car. It's not moving, and they're having to apply manpower instead of horsepower to get the car back to the starting line. The engine is dead. Let's see if we can figure out what happened as we watch again. As Force hits the throttle on the dry burnout underneath the car, there is a flash and something goes wrong. John Force out of the car. It's a single for Jim Head. Getting close to the center line, but driving away his Head. He's trying for that lane choice. 5.89 seconds. His speed, 225 miles an hour. But John Force has to be one disappointed race car driver. Our next pair of cars ready for the burnout procedure. Here is Johnny West driving Roland Leong's Hawaiian. This is a rematch of the final round of this year's Gator Nationals Championships, where West lost to this man, the four-time world champion, Don Prudhomme. For the first time in my memory, Roland Leong is not on the grounds. In fact, he is on vacation, enjoying a well-deserved rest in the Bahamas, while his driver, Johnny West, is ready to face Don Prudhomme here in the second round of competition. Prudhomme took a year off from the sport, but since his return at the start of this season, already he's been in the winner's circle when he defeated West at the Gator Nationals. The two cars finalizing their staging procedures, and a good start for Prudhomme. Johnny West begins to pull ahead, and West wins it with the low elapsed time of the meet thus far, 5.63 seconds at a speed of 256 miles an hour. Back on the starting line, our next pair ready to go. This will be the last race in the second round of Funny Car Eliminator, and it matches Ed McCulloch against Kenny Bernstein. Ed McCulloch fights for control. Something going wrong in Ed McCulloch's race car. He keeps it away from Kenny Bernstein and away from the guardrail and brings it to a stop. But what a dramatic turn of events. Crossing the center line, meaning an automatic disqualification for McCulloch, the emergency hatch coming open, and McCulloch is coming out of the race car. Obviously, there's some other problems with that car because McCulloch would not leave it in that precarious spot as Bernstein has to make his run. McCulloch crossing over into the grass alongside the track disgustedly, throws down his gloves and starts to take off his fire protective clothing. Let's watch again and see if we can determine just what happened. The burnout looks fine at this point for McCulloch, but But as the car continued on down track, McCulloch had his hands full. First, it heads towards the guardrail. Then he brings it under control, and it darts across the center line right into the path of Bernstein, who fortunately was slowing down at this moment. Finally, McCulloch regains control and brings it to a safe stop. Let's go to Steve to find out what happened.
Anytime something goes wrong with a funny car on the burnout that puts out the volume of oil into the rear tires that Ed McCulloch just experienced, you've really got your hands full.
Well, Steve, when I come out of the water box, you know, I mean, spinning the tires always wet anyway, you know, and I got after it pretty good. When I lifted from the burnout, I mean, it just started skating, and what happened is it blew that oil filter O-ring out, and it was just oiling the racetrack and the tires, and it was like you were on ice.
And the last thing you wanted to do was give Kenny Bernstein a gift like that.
I mean, you know, we got to put pressure on Kenny, and I mean, they get the brakes, and I mean, one of these days is going to turn around, and we're going to get the brakes, and we're going to beat them.
Thanks, Ed.
You bet. Thank you.
2 times last season, Ed McCulloch made it into the winner's circle on the NHRA National Event Trail, but problems with the oiling system on his engine put him out of competition today. For Kenny Bernstein, though, as Steve said, what a break. The reigning world champion takes a single in the second round and will automatically advance into the semifinals. But remember, lane choice is all important, and Bernstein will probably run it hard. Yes, there he goes. Approaching the finish line, Bernstein got the throttle down all the way and blew a lap time of the meet. 5.57 seconds at over 261 miles an hour. As we look at the old state capitol building in Baton Rouge, let's set the semifinal pairing in Funny Car Eliminator. Kenny Bernstein against Raymond Beadle, with Bernstein earning the lane choice. Our other pair finds Johnny West against Jim Head, with West having the lane choice. We'll be coming right back to State Capitol Dragway. Louisiana, I'm Dave McClelland, along with Steve Evans at the Citgo Kmart Cajun Nationals. We're in Raymond Beadle's pit area as his crew, headed by Dale Emery, prepares that Blue Max race car for the semifinal race against Kenny Bernstein. Coming out now, the factory hot rods for the second round of competition in Pro Stock Eliminator. Earlier, we saw the advantage that can be gained by a good start. These Pro Stock drivers are whole shot artists. To find out what that term means and explain more about it, Steve filed this report.
A term you hear a lot in drag racing is hole shot. One driver with better reactions getting off the starting line first, leaving the other still sitting at the line or in the hole. Using starter Buster Couch's magic box here, let me take you through that sequence. Now, as the cars move forward, and you well know they use their front wheels to break these beams, I'm going to use my big foot. First thing that happens, they get into an infrared beam that controls the pre-stage. That's on top of the tree. It just helps you find the starting line. They move further forward, and the stage light comes on. When both have accomplished that, now it's time for Buster Couch to take this box and hit the switch. The first thing the driver sees is a flash of yellow. That's when you react. You do not wait for the green. You'll be late. There's only 0.4 of a second between yellow and green. If you gamble on the lights and that 0.4 hasn't elapsed, then it's going to bypass green, go right to red, and you're out of here. So the drivers who get the better hole shots are the ones whose eyes are better connected to their feet, I guess you could say. Now remember also, the lanes are independently timed. The clocks don't start until the front wheels leave these beams, and that accounts for why a driver with a hole shot can often win with a slower elapsed time.
Buster Couch, the official starter for NHRA, has been serving in that position for over 2 decades. Here's our first pair of Pro Stock. Kenny Delco driving Flip Bonito's Chevrolet Camaro. Delco out of Center Reach, New York, may have a difficult task at hand as he is racing a crowd favorite, Bruce Allen, at the wheel of the Rare and Morrison Camaro from Arlington, Texas. The Pro Stock machines, while they look a great deal like their counterparts that come off the factory assembly lines, are very sophisticated race cars, capable of speeds of 190 miles an hour. Kenny Delco in the near lane, Bruce Allen in the far lane, a good start. Delco's car starting to drift towards the center line. He lifts off the accelerator, giving an easy win to Allen, and he kind of skates around a bit on the top end. His time reflects it, only 147 miles an hour out of the Rare and Morrison Camaro. Now it is Oldsmobile against Pontiac. Larry Morgan coming up through the sportsman ranks and advancing into the professional category of Pro Stock at the wheel of the Oldsmobile Forenza, calls Newark, Ohio, near Columbus home. He faces another Ohioan at the wheel of his Pontiac, Butch Thiel, who has been in the final round of all 3 national events thus far this season, winning the Gator Nationals Championship. These cars are limited to 500 cubic inches and 2 4-barrel carburetors. They use a sophisticated 4-speed clutchless transmission. You see Larry Morgan's hand resting on the shifting levers as he gets set to do battle against Butch Leal. The engine's using a lot of RPM, leaves the starting line with Leal having the advantage. Leal extends his lead near the finish line again. The car moving around a bit on the top end. 7.59 seconds. His speed 181 miles an hour. Butch Leal advancing into the semifinals. Here's the reigning world champion, the exotic Ford Thunderbird of Bob Glidden, against the Oldsmobile Forenza, #2 in the world last year, Warren Johnson. Johnson started the season with a big win, taking the Winter Nationals Championship. Glidden, however, started a bit slowly, but as we saw earlier, has already notched his first victory of the season, taking the Southern Nationals Championship when he defeated Butch Leal. Ford against Oldsmobile. This is a brand new car for Warren Johnson. After that Winter Nationals win, he was unable to qualify at the Gator Nationals. Thus, he built a new car. This is the first race for this vehicle. The two drivers staging cautiously, and a good start. But look at Glidden pull ahead. By several car lengths, Bob Glidden advances into the semifinal, 7.52 seconds. His speed over 185 miles an hour. Our final pair in this second round of Pro Stock competition finds 2 more General Motors products. The Chevrolet of Reed Wisnett against the Pontiac of Nick Nicholas. For so many years, Reed Wisnett campaigned to Chrysler, but a couple of years ago made the switch to the Chevy Camaro. It was just a few years ago that Nick Nicholas advanced to the Pro Stock ranks. Now he drives a beautiful 87 Pontiac Firebird that is in the lane nearest the camera. Chevrolet against Pontiac in the second round of Pro Stock Eliminator. Running on racing gasoline, these cars very close. A great driving job by Nicholas, but he has problems, and here comes Wisnett. And across the finish line with a rather slow elapsed time is Reed Wisnett. It's only 8.20 seconds, but the win light is all that matters. As we take a look at Rosedown, built in 1835 in a magnificent restoration of a Southern plantation house, here's the semifinal pairings. Reed Wisnett against Bruce Allen, with Allen having lane choice. Our other pair, what a race, a rematch of the Southern National Finals. It'll be Bob Glidden in the Ford against Butch Leal in the Pontiac. In the pit area of Johnny West, he directs the action as his boss, Roland Leong, is on vacation. He's getting the car ready for the semifinal race against Jim Head at the Cajun Nationals. Made crew chiefs in all of motorsports. That is Dale Armstrong, the head man on the team that fields Kenny Bernstein's Buick funny car. They're putting the final touches on that car, getting ready for the semifinal round, while on the starting line, it's Top Fuel Eliminator. The first pair of cars we see finds the Texan Eddie Hill racing against Joe Amato. Two very evenly matched cars, but Amato has got a bit of an advantage. He has been the quickest car consistently throughout this entire meet. Amato using the conventional tall front wheel and tire combination, while Eddie Hill sticking with the smaller tire and wheel that he pioneered back in the late 1950s and was brought back into popularity by Don Garland. Amato beginning to pull ahead, and by more than a car length, Joe Amato goes into the finals. His wife Jerry very pleased with the effort, 5.33 seconds at over 270 miles an hour. Don Garland's concentrating on the gauges as his crew chief Herb Parks brings the engine to life. We get a glimpse inside the cockpit of Garland's Top Fuel dragster, taking a look at the controls that confront today's drivers. As Garland gets set for his race with Dick LaHaye, let's go down to Steve with Joe Amato.
You've been in 3 previous finals, but you only won 1. Now, what can you do to make sure it's 2 this time?
Well, we had a mechanical problem the last time. We broke our lifter, and we're watching that real close. And I think Tim Richards has a handle on it this weekend, but, you know, it's up to me to do a good job because LaHaye or Garlitz are both 2 tough competitors. One of them's going to be in the final here, but we're glad we beat Darrell. We're ahead in the points championship right now, and we're on a roll kind of.
So let's find out exactly who that's going to be, okay?
Steve will know in just a second who this man, Joe Amato, will be racing in the finals at the Cajun Nationals. Will it be Dick LaHaye? He's already had a 5.37 second elapsed time in the first round when he defeated Bill Mullins. Or will it be Don Garlits, who, in spite of the bye run and the automatic win, did not perform exceptionally well in the second round of competition? However, Garlits is going for his third consecutive Cajun Nationals championship, and he is the reigning world champion in Top Fuel Eliminator. LaHaye lasts the stage. And what a race! The problems for Garlits. LaHaye just pulls it out in the last few feet. Dick LaHaye wins the race and advances into the finals. A great 5.33 second elapsed time at over 264 miles an hour. In our replay, you see the two cars off the starting line together. Garlits and LaHaye are just side by side at this point. As they progress down track, LaHaye begins to pull ahead, and then the problem strikes for Garlits. A bit of flame coming out of the engine, and crossing the finish line first is Dick LaHaye. The engine in Don Garlits' car without the supercharger belt. Obviously some problems for the world champion. He and Herb Parks disappointed.
Well, Dick LaHaye saw an awful lot of that black car from Florida before he was finally able to just pull ahead. What a good one.
Yeah, it was pretty close. I got it in high gear, and I started driving away from him then, but he was right there all the while, down to about half track or maybe a little farther. And I guess we just outrun him in high gear.
You did indeed, but I have some bad news. You lost lane choice by 0.02 of a second to Joe. 0.02?
Well, at least we got the car back where it was. It slowed down that last run a little bit, and we had a little problem with the clutch, and we put a new clutch in it, and it stepped right back up. So we're looking forward to a good final. We like to race Joe, and, him and I really are good friends. So it's, in fact, I bought this block from him that's in the car right here, and another one to boot.
Joe may be regretting that before this day is over. I think we're going to have a real dogfight in the Top Fuel final. So close they are.
Steve, how close are they? They're really 0.02 of a second apart in the lane choice, both running 5.33 second elapsed time. The beautiful Louisiana Governor's Mansion, our background as we see our finalists in Top Fuel Eliminator. Joe Amato against Dick LaHaye. As we said, Amato earning the lane choice by 0.02 of a second. That brings us to the semifinal round of Funny Car Eliminator. Johnny West trying to earn his second final round appearance this season against Jim Head, winner here in 1985 and was runner-up at the 1984 Cajun Nationals. West in the far lane, Head in the near lane. These are very aerodynamically styled race cars. The Dodge Daytona for Johnny West, and Oldsmobile Forenza body for Jim Head. Buster Couch throws the switch, a green light, and Jim Head smokes the tires. Johnny West thunders through with an elapsed time of 5.69 seconds at over 253 miles an hour and moves into the Cajun Nationals final. Back in the pit area, Pontiac Pro Stock Kingpin Butch Leal getting ready for his semifinal round race against Bob Glidden at the Citgo Kmart Cajun Nationals. Capitol Dragway near Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm Dave McClelland along with Steve Evans. And the semifinal round of Funny Car Eliminator continues at the NHRA Cajun Nationals. This is Kenny Bernstein, the reigning world champion. His competition, three-time world champion Raymond Beadle. The winner of this race goes into the finals against Johnny West, who's operating without his car owner, Roland Leon.
If Roland was here right now, what would he tell you to do?
Well, I'm kind of going off of what we discussed before he left. We kind of went through this whole round by round, what would happen, what should we do, and I'm just going along with what he told me. Car's a piece of cake to drive when it runs like that.
Indeed. Doing a terrific job is Johnny West.
Roland Leon obviously has a lot of confidence in Johnny West and the crew to take off to the Bahamas during a national event weekend. Kenny Bernstein going through the final preparations to get ready for the match against Raymond Beadle. Both these world champions got their start in drag racing about the same time, in the 1960s, and they both hailed from the Lubbock, Texas area. Now, Kenny Bernstein lives in Newport, California. Raymond Beadle calls Dallas, Texas home. Bernstein dominating once again as Beadle goes up in smoke. a 5.57 second elapsed time at over 261 miles an hour. Let's take a look again in replay at that race, which is almost a duplicate of the previous run between Johnny West and Jim Head. Bernstein gets a bit of advantage off the starting line, and then Raymond Beadle's tires lose traction and go up in smoke.
Well, as they have all day long, both car and driver performing to perfection. Kenny Bernstein, again, low ET of the meet at a 5:57.
Oh, super. Well, we didn't change anything. We thought we'd run for it one more time and see if the track would hold it. Dale and the crew just did another outstanding job of making the right decisions, and it worked.
Johnny West was down there. He says, I hope he runs in the 570 so I'll get lane choice. I said, wouldn't you rather see him get beat? He said, no, I'd like to race him.
Well, Johnny and the Hawaiian Punch Car, they've been a good one all year. We enjoy racing them. It's a lot of fun. He's a good driver, and Roland, you know, he's off having some good time in the sun this weekend, so Johnny's trying real hard. It'll be a good battle.
I agree with that. Kenny Bernstein goes to the finals.
Steve, we're having a good time in the sun, too, here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And as we look at the wildflowers along the Mississippi River, it is the final pairing for Funny Car Eliminator. Kenny Bernstein against Johnny West, with Bernstein having lane choice. Kenny's going for his second Cajun National title, while Johnny West looking for his first ever national event victory. On the starting line, it's the semifinal round of Factory Hot Rod Racing Pro Stock Eliminator. Bob Glidden, the reigning world champion in the Ford Thunderbird, against the flying Pontiac of Butch Leal. Glidden in the far lane. Leal coming into the staging beams with the slope-nosed Pontiac. The engine's just idling. Again, they're 500 cubic inches. Pure race car. These the most sophisticated race cars in competition today. And now the RPM level beginning to mount. A great start. It's anybody's race. And Butch Leal pulls it out in the final few feet. Butch Leal, 7.52 seconds. 184 miles an hour. As we watch again, it was a very slight hole shot, 0.03 of a second advantage going to Bob Glidden at the starting line. Normally you find Butch Leal being the hole shot artist, but this time the Ford Thunderbird was out first. But at the finish line, it was the horsepower of Butch Leal's Pontiac that put away the world champion Bob Glidden.
Bobby, I know you've just been waiting to somebody ambush Butch Leal on the starting line. You had a great lead. You had the whole shot, but apparently something went wrong.
We took the wrong lane, Steve. You know, we had to guess one way or the other. The left lane had been oiled. The right lane hadn't. We got down the right lane the last round, not as well as we'd like, but we went a 52. I don't know what we went that run, but Butch...
slowed up to 58.
Yeah, Butch must have run a middle 50 or took the wrong lane, made the wrong decision, that's all.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Steve.
Not only do you have to have a great performing race car and perform well yourself, but the decisions can be all important when you choose the lane, as Bob Glidden just explained. Reed Wisden is in that lane furthest from the camera at the moment. He's racing against Bruce Allen, a pair of Chevrolet Camaros. And it's a red light start for Wisden. He leaves the line too soon, shuts the car off. Bruce Allen goes to the finish. He wants lane choice. He does not get it. 7.62 seconds, a tenth of a second behind Butch Leal at 182 miles an hour. Allen into the finals. As we look at the Capitol building of Louisiana overlooking this beautiful lake, let's set our finalists. Pro Stock Eliminator, Bruce Allen against Butch Leal. Leal having the lane choice at the Citgo Kmart Cajun National. Crew Chief Kim LaHaye directing the action, getting her dad's car ready for the finals against Joe Amato at the Cajun National. At any NHRA national event, there's lots of things to see in the pits, and Steve Evans found an item that you might associate more with a road racing event.
One of NHRA's mottos since the very beginning has been ingenuity in action, and nowhere will you find more of that ingenuity than in the competition eliminator pits. This is Buddy Ingersoll's Double B Altered Buick, one of the most talked about cars in the sport. It's identical to a Pro Stock automobile until, take a look at this. He does not use a 500 cubic inch carbureted motor like a Pro Stock car. This is a very small little Buick V6, 268 cubic inches. But two turbochargers blowing through these mammoth intercoolers through the induction system create so much horsepower that this small motor pushes this car to speeds faster and quicker than any Pro Stock car has ever run. But the Pro Stock guys, you won't see them hanging around here much because turbocharging is illegal in that class. So for now on and for the foreseeable future, this kind of ingenuity will only be found in the sportsman categories.
Unfortunately, Buddy Ingersoll had mechanical problems in the first round of racing in Competition Eliminator. That led to earlier today a final round race in competition between Richie Rosen of New Orleans and Colorado's Ron Neff. Neff in the far lane, Rosen in the near lane, represent just a portion of the competition in 8 Sportsman Eliminator categories that raced here earlier today. It was a very close race, with Rosen winning by only inches. Richie Rosen was the Competition Eliminator champion. In Top Alcohol Dragster, Tom Conway. Top Alcohol Funny Car, Vern Motes. After 33 years of trying, Dick Baker won Super Stock. Stock Eliminator, Danny Doty. Super Gas, Jimmy Lewis. The winner in Super Comp, Steve Cohen. And the Pro Stock Motorcycle champ, Rick Stetson. It's time for the final round in Pro Stock Eliminator. This is Butch Leal for the 4th race in a row. He is in the final round. He has won 1 event thus far this season and is the current World Championship points leader. Here is the man that was number 3 in the world last season, Bruce Allen, driving the rare and Morrison Camaro. But there may be a question mark about that car, as Steve Evans found out earlier.
So often when we stop by the pits of the Pro Stock finalists, there's really not a lot going on, even if one car is maybe a couple of tenths off. They say, well, all our work is done back at the shop. Well, look at this. Here is Bruce Allen coming out of the rare and Morrison Camaro. He is in there, has removed the transmission, actually now is reinstalling it because they have changed the clutch. The last round, the car shook. He had to short shift 3rd and 4th gear. They're trying to soften up that clutch enough to where he doesn't have to do that. He can use his usual shift points. They've also gone to another set of tires. They very badly want to put Chevrolet back on the winning track.
The first final round appearance this season for Bruce Allen. 3 times last year he made it to the finals but did not win a race. Butch Leal has been in the Cajun Nationals finals twice before. In 1984 and 1985, he lost both times. But Leal is on a roll right now. At the age of 42, regarded by many as the master of the starting line. He gave away an advantage in the semifinals to Bob Glidden, but was able to outpower Glidden to take the win to meet Bruce Allen here in the finals. Allen a little late off the starting line, and it's all over at this point as Butch Leal wins his first ever Cajun National title at 7.53 seconds. His speed 184 miles an hour. There's action in the pit area in Joe Amato's pit as they are readying that Top Fuel dragster for the race against Dick LaHaye. The supercharger going back on the race car, getting ready in just a few moments to match up for the Top Fuel title here at the Citgo Kmart Cajun Nationals. Cajun Nationals. It's State Capitol Dragway near Baton Rouge, Louisiana. It is time for the final round of Funny Car Eliminator. This is Johnny West driving the car owned by Roland Leon. West is racing against the reigning world champion, Kenny Bernstein. After winning the race in 1979 here at Baton Rouge, he appeared in only one other final, that in 1985 when he was runner-up. Now let's go to Steve with Butch Leal.
For the 2nd time this season, Butch Leal puts his Pontiac Trans Am in the winner's circle. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Steve. I wanted everybody to take a look at this car and shoot at me one time. This is a brand new car at Gainesville, and it's won 2 races for us, and Willie Rails has built the car for us, and I'm very proud of Willie and very proud of this car, and the Nationwide Auto Parts Valvoline Trans Am is very fast.
Butch milked it for all he can, but he's got every right to. He just won a great race. This is Kenny Bernstein. He's been the dominant force in funny car racing all day, but he's against Johnny West, who has been consistently in the 560 elapsed time bracket, and that is the 2nd quickest car on the racetrack today. West, without his car owner and engine tuner, Roland Leon, doing very, very well. But Bernstein is enjoying about a 1/10 of a second difference, an advantage in the performance differential between these 2 race cars. The burnouts are completed. We're into the final staging procedures. The crewman all of a sudden opening the escape hatch on Bernstein's car. He's down inside the car. Starter Buster Couch saying, go back. Something obviously caught his attention inside that race car. Now both cars are staged. And Johnny West hits close to the center line. Bernstein begins to pull ahead and West has to lift. And Bernstein wins it 5-7. 26. His speed, 258 miles an hour, falls off in the performance, but he won the race in the Cajun Nationals title. As we look again, you can see both cars are staged. A slight advantage off the starting line going to Bernstein. But then Johnny West begins to pull close to that center line. He has to back out of the throttle to get away from the center line, and that lets Kenny Bernstein pull ahead and win the race.
Good race. Indeed, it was a good race. Kenny Bernstein, you won all the money, all the points, all the track records, and all of our admiration. Just a terrific job.
Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate it. You know, it takes a whole effort, and I've always said it. And when you get Jim Mayle and Jeff Scarp and Charlie Nielsen and Mike Baker and then Dale Armstrong putting this Budweiser Quaker State Buick here, it makes it easy for me. But I tell you, it's a tough run today. Johnny and the Hawaiian Punch did a heck of a job.
Boy, you know, there was a little smoke in the dry burnout. I don't know if you could feel that or not, but you could see that Dale might have been concerned.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I could feel it, and he backed me up, and I had to hit the throttle a couple of times to jump the car, as you know, to soften that clutch up a little bit, to make it where it won't be so violent. And I was holding my breath when I left and holding everything else I could at the time because I didn't know if it was going to make it without shaking.
And you know, the success you're enjoying today all started at this very track back in 1979.
Well, it's been a long time since we've done good at the Cajuns. 79's a long time ago. A lot of things have changed since then. I'm glad that we finally put it back together. It's a tough racetrack to run on. It's tough for us. It's beat us up pretty good the last 6 or 7 years.
Well, you mastered it today. Again, congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Kenny Bernstein, the funny car champion, obviously not distracted by the crewman reaching inside the car just before the run. This is Joe Amato getting the thumbs up as he readies his top-fuel dragster for the race against Dick LaHaye. LaHaye already underway and in the midst of his burnout, each driver controlling his own destiny at this moment, each driver knowing what the other is going to do in terms of the burnout. If one wants to start first, get more heat in the motor, that's fine with the other driver. He follows his own procedure. For LaHaye, he, as we have told you, has been enjoying some tremendous performances lately, but that has cost him just a bit in the way of extra work when they have to go back to the pits between rounds. What used to be a very simple operation has become quite complex.
You know, many times we have commented in our reports from Dick LaHaye's pits that the crew never took the heads off the engine. It ran so reliably. Those days are over, and it's not because they're breaking parts. It's because they're running a different type of cylinder head. It's billet aluminum and has absolutely no water coolant to run through it. There are no water jackets. So now the only way they can get the engine cool enough between rounds is to take it completely apart and let the breeze blow through it. Also another way, they take out all 8 rods and pistons. There's not a thing wrong with these parts. They're just very, very hot. Still, they put in cool rods and pistons. These will see duty again at another race. So the penalty the LaHayes are paying for their newfound performance and all the new parts is they're having to work a lot harder between rounds.
All that work obviously paying off for the LaHaye family. Dick finds himself in his first final round appearance this season. He's racing against Joe Amato, who has been in every final round thus far this year, winning one event, the Gator Nationals. Amato has the lane choice. He earned it by only 0.02 of a second in the semifinals, so this could be a very close race. Amato in the far lane, Dick LaHaye in the near lane. The finals of Top Fuel Eliminator at the Cajun Nationals. A great start for both drivers, identical reaction time. Oh, look at this race. And Dick LaHaye wins it. The crew, neither one knowing who wins, and then the reaction sets in for the LaHaye family. What a tremendous Top Fuel final. Dick LaHaye with a 5.31 second to a losing 5.32. Let's look and see how it happened. LaHaye in the near lane and Amato in the far lane lead the starting line exactly together. At that point, it's anybody's race. At this point, it was anybody's race. And then, just by a matter of inches, Dick LaHaye.
Dick LaHaye came out of this car saying the same thing that we're all saying. What a race.
Well, I hope to tell you, we was right together all the way down the track. And, you know, I knew Joe and I was going to have a good race in the final here because we both run 33s and, you know, we're both very consistent. And
that was a 31 to a 32.
Well, that's a little bit better yet then, wasn't it? I guess we did the right move on it. And all I can say with all this heat and everything with the track, that it's definitely Miller time.
Our congratulations to all 3 of the professional champions, Dick LaHaye, Kenny Bernstein, and Butch Leal. For Steve Evans, I'm Dave McClellan saying so long from State Capitol Dragway near Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The executive producer of Diamond P Sports is Harvey M. Ballish. Produced and directed by John B. Mullen. The 1987 Cajun Nationals have been brought to you by Motorcraft. Quality products for all makes of cars and trucks. Motorcraft exceeds the need. And by Goodyear. Goodyear tires and Goodyear service for more good years in your car. And by Citgo Kmart, proud sponsors of this year's Cajun Nationals. Promotional consideration provided for and a fee paid by Duquesne. The Duquesne 3002 gas grill. 3 burners for versatility, efficiency, and flavor. No other gas grill looks like it or cooks like it. Duquesne. And by Otter Pops, America's